Yo, 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 what's going on, good people? It's your boy Surrender Man, and we're back in the building for another episode of Herb of the Day. You guys ready? Let's go. All right, so what is our herb of the day? And it looks like the herb of the day is basil or basil, okay? Now, basil is pretty much well known. Most of us have basil somewhere around the kitchen area. So this is all too familiar herb, but maybe a lot of us don't know some of its medicinal properties. So this is a great video for you to kind of know some other aspects of basil other than just spicing up your foods, okay? So let's get it. What is the common name of basil? Well, actually basil goes by the common name of sweet basil, okay? And the scientific name of basil is Ocimum basilicum. That's Ocimum basilicum, all right? Now let's get into some of the actions that basil has so that we can kind of see the different properties it has other than being a great herb or a spice for food, okay? Now, some of its actions is that it has a antispasmodic action. And pretty much what antispasmodic means is that it helps fight and prevent any type of spasms or any muscle cramps or things of that nature within the body, okay? Basil also has a carminative action, and that pretty much means that it helps expel gas in the stomach and in the intestines, okay? So it's very good at expelling the gas. And basil also acts as a galactagogue. Now, galactagogue is basically an herb that helps increase a mother's milk during the time that she's breastfeeding, okay? So a lot of people don't know that about basil, but basil has that action that it will increase a mother's milk. It also acts as a mild sedative. Now that kind of speaks for itself. It helps calm and soothe the body, okay? And especially when we're talking about muscles, all right? And basil also acts as a stomachic. And a stomachic herb is a herb that pretty much tonifies and strengthens, all right, the fortitude of the stomach. So basil acts as a really good strengthener for the stomach. It also has antibacterial properties, help fights against bacteria, bacterial growth. It acts as a vermifuge. Now, a vermifuge is a herb that expels intestinal worms. All right. So as we can see, basil is not only good for the kitchen, but when we're talking about the body, our kitchen is our stomach. Basil is a good kitchen herb. Okay. And basil has antidepressant properties. And it also acts as a adrenal stimulant. Now, for me, the carminative, the galactagogue, the stomachic, but the adrenal stimulant, that is one thing that I'm really, really interested in when we're talking about basil, because a lot of us deal with adrenal fatigue, okay? A lot of us are running on, our fight or flight, and we're kind of running on E. And when you see somebody who's drinking coffee throughout the day, all day long, that's a person who has adrenal fatigue. If you're seeing a person who, as soon as they eat, they go to sleep, I know we call it the itis, but that's adrenal fatigue, okay? If you find yourself with a lack of energy throughout the day and you're always trying to take things to stay up, whether it's coffee, whether it's these, green drinks, monster drinks, or 5 hour, whatever, you're dealing with adrenal fatigue. And that happens to a lot of us without us understanding or knowing that. So when I see that this is an adrenal stimulant and it's right in your kitchen, I would say, oh, wow. I mean, because we don't know the hidden dangers that adrenal fatigue is causing us, and especially when we're talking about leaky gut and some of these autoimmune diseases. So to have an herb that stipulates that one of its actions is to stimulate the adrenals is a very, very good quality. And I think just for that, this herb deserves more research, okay? So now, what are some of its uses? And like we always say on the video, you can kind of find out the uses of a herb based on its actions or its properties, okay? Now, the uses of basil is it is good for nervous irritability, okay? So as you can see, you're not going to see anything about how good it is for food here because we deal with herbs from a medicinal standpoint, okay? So basil is good for nervous irritability, all right? It is also good for increasing of the milk secretion in breastfeeding mothers, okay? So we already know that. It is good for nausea, okay? It is good for vomiting as well. So that's just some of the uses of it, and we'll leave everything down in the description below so you guys can have all of the research that we've collected on basil, and then you can go and do your own, okay? Now, what are some of the recommended ways to take basil? Now, on our show, we like to always allow the person to look at things from a loose leaf tea standpoint. Try to drink the teas. Now, there are going to be other ways that you can probably prepare a lot of these herbs, but that's for you to do your research and figure out if it can be in an extract form, if you can do a decoction, if it's a tonic or something like that. But for here, this is recommended that you do it in a tea form. All right. And we're going to do 1 teaspoon of basil if you're getting it dried. Okay. So if you're ordering it offline, if you're not getting it wild crafted, if it's not growing in, in your back garden or something like that, and you're not dealing with fresh leaves, then you only need 1 teaspoon of dried basil, all right, to 1 cup of boiling water. You allow that to infuse or steep for 10 minutes. And then it's recommended that you drink 1/3 of a cup 3 times a day if you have any issues with stomach or any of these issues up here. All right, now for fresh herbs, if you got fresh herbs, then you need to do 2 teaspoons of fresh herbs to 1 cup of boiling water. And then again, you allow it to steep or infuse for 10 minutes. And then you go ahead and drink 1/3 of a cup 3 times a day. Now that's the recommended dose for basil. Now, understand that I am not a doctor and I'm not a physician, so please consult your physician before taking any of the herbs that you see here on Leaf of Violet Essentials channel. Before that, we always say do research before you put anything in your body, okay? Now, this has been Herb of the Day. I'm your boy, Surrender. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, and until next time, I love you and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Peace.